Welcome. This is German 2, Chapter 1, Vocabulary Recording. If you look at the slide in front of you, you will see that I have noted wherever there is a vocabulary difference between the two editions. So if you watch here, the page numbers, if you notice in the far left column, it has page 16/13. 16 would be the 7th edition. 13 would be if you're using 5th or 6th edition. So each chapter has 3 sections of vocabulary. 2 are quite small, one in section A, one in section B. And then you have a significantly longer section of vocab that is on the last page of the chapter. And that's the pattern throughout the year. So I'm simply going to read through the vocabularies for you to hear the pronunciation. For a few of the words, I have helpful hints for you. And so let's simply begin. So turn in your textbook to either page 16, 7th edition people, or 13 if you're in 5th or 6th edition. So the first section says describing what one carries. So the first thing you have there is was trägst du denn? You notice that a umlaut. The verb is tragen. It means to carry, but it is a stem changing verb. And so for the du or the RZS, the A changes to a umlaut. So we have was trägst du denn? And here are the things I might be carrying. Eine Tasche, ein Paket, eine Handtasche, eine Aktentasche, eine Einkaufstasche, einen Rucksack. Now, I hope that you can look at this. I'm going to pause just a second for you to look at the list. Can you figure out which noun there is a neuter noun? I hope you picked ein Paket because this is a direct object. Whatever you're carrying, I'm carrying a bag, a package. And so it's the direct object, and ein Paket, nothing changed on the end of ein. I know it's neuter. Then there's also one word in that list that is masculine. Look at the list and see if you can decide which one of those words is a masculine word. Look at the ending on the adjective. I hope you chose einen Rucksack because the en ending denotes masculine accusative case. Now, I know that this is a massive rush headlong back into German after you've had the summer off, but I'm going to try as we go through doing grammar, doing vocabulary, to just give you little hints of memory work that will help you recall what we learned last year. All right, next we have talking about going to the airport, and I have auf dem Weg zum Flughafen. Wo haben Sie in der Nähe vom Flughafen übernachtet? Dieser Koffer ist am schwersten. Roll ihn doch. So the idea is there, oh, somebody's complaining, oh, this is the heaviest suitcase. And the person next to him says, why don't you just roll it? Roll ihn doch. And then fahren wir mit der S-Bahn? And the answer is no, we're not going by city train. Wir nehmen ein Taxi. Now turn to either page 27 or 23. This is Lektion B, section B. And we are having flight related matters. So you probably have figured out that for this chapter, we're talking about travel, and specifically we're talking about airline travel, train travel, mass transportation. All right. Für diesen Flug braucht man einen Flugschein und einen Reisepass. All right. Now this next phrase is a tiny bit different from the 5th and 6th editions to the 7th. Basically, they have updated it. It's talking about getting a boarding pass. Ordinarily, or in the past, you would have gotten your boarding pass at the counter, Schalter. But the book is explaining to you that they now have self-service check-ins. It's basically like a bank machine, but you go in, you put in your flight number or your confirmation number, and it prints off your boarding pass. So an updated sentence, and I have it here on the screen for anyone who's in an older edition. Man bekommt eine Bordkarte am Check-in-Automaten oder Schalter. So you can get this boarding pass either at this automated machine, or you can go to the counter. Right. Next, we have der Angestellte hilft den Fluggästen, if it were a male employee or ticket agent, or die Angestellte hilft den Fluggästen, if you have a female employee. Der Pilot sitzt schon im Flugzeug. Man soll eine halbe Stunde vor dem Abflug am Flugsteig sein. Wohin geht's denn? Möchten Sie am Fenster oder am Gang sitzen? Sie haben Glück. So instead of saying you're lucky, they actually say you have luck. Fliegt das Flugzeug pünktlich ab? So the verb is abfliegen. It means to depart. It's a separate prefix verb. So you see the AB, ab, that drops to the end of the sentence. That's what the separable prefix does. And finally, ich nehme diese Tasche mit ins Flugzeug. All right. And then finally, turn to the very last page of chapter 1. That would be either 33 or 27. My first word is abfliegen. It means to take off or to depart for a plane. Now look in the parentheses after this. You have flog ab and ist abgeflogen. Now the ist abgeflogen should look familiar to you. That is your two-word past tense. And you remember that you have either haben or sein as your helping verb. The sein is primarily where you have the verb that's indicating motion. So this plane taking off is going to take that helping verb sein because it's in motion. So I have ist abgeflogen. Now, one of the things we're going to be learning this year is what we call simple past tense. So think about this in English. I would say today I eat, present tense. Yesterday I ate, one word, simple past, but all week I have eaten, two-word past tense, right? That's that perfect tense that we learned last year, have eaten. So just like the two-word past tense, the perfect tense, had regular verbs that all followed a pattern and irregular verbs that had to be memorized, the simple past will have the same thing. Regular verbs that follow a pattern and you just figure it out from the pattern, and irregular verbs that have to be memorized. You probably won't be surprised to learn that the same verbs that were irregular for the two-word past tense are the irregular verbs for the one-word past tense, for simple past. So what you see in parentheses behind abfliegen is the one-word past tense, flog ab, and then the two-word past tense is abgeflogen. Why is it flog ab that looks like two words? Because it's a separable prefix verb, and ab will drop to the end. Even though fliegen changes to flog to indicate past, the ab still drops to the end of the sentence in that simple past. All right, next we have abflug, abholen. It's also separable. And to pick up can be I'm picking up a suitcase, or it could be I'm picking up my sister from school, abholen. Then Aktentasche, Angestellte, Automat, Bäckerei. Now, if you see you had der Abflug, die Aktentasche, die Bäckerei, let me remind you again that for each noun, you must memorize if it is der, die, or das. And just like we found last year that der changed to den as a direct object and then to dem as an indirect object. And so the grammar changed that article. One of the trickiest things we're going to do this year is we're going to learn adjective endings. And so the endings on adjectives are going to change based on whether a noun is masculine, feminine, neuter, or plural, and based on whether it is nominative, accusative, dative, or genitive. So those articles, the der, die, das articles, become actually more important this year than last. So just a quick little reminder of the importance of learning the gender of nouns. Right. The next thing I have is sich beeilen. When you see SICH in front of a verb, it is a reflexive verb. In English, it is optional if we use reflexive. Like I can say, I tied my shoes, done. Or I can say, I tied my shoes myself. I'm pointing back to myself, right? To indicate that it's done, but that's optional. In German, if it is a reflexive verb, it's not optional. So if I'm going to say that I'm hurrying, I would have to say ich beeile mich. The mich is that reflexive that points back to I or to ich. Bitte sehr. Now we have learned that bitte has several different meanings. Bitte means please when I'm asking you for something. If someone has said to you, thank you, danke, then when you say you're welcome, you say bitte. So it can mean please, it can mean you're welcome. If you say something and I don't understand, I'm going to say wie bitte? Wait, excuse me, say that again. Or if you're on the plane and walking past and I'm giving you your snack, so I'm your flight attendant, I'm giving you your snack or something, I'm going to reach over and go bitte sehr. So I'm saying, here you are, here it is. So bitte is just a very polite word that can be used in many situations. Bordkarte, Brieffreund, Einkaufstasche, Fenster, Flug, Fluggast, Flughafen, Flugschein, and Flugsteig. So you see that root word for a flight, and then you see lots and lots of things that are related to flying. Then we have Gang. So if you're in the airplane, you would either sit am Fenster next to the window or am Gang next to the aisle, unless you have the unfortunate case of being in der Mitte, in the middle seat. That's the place you really don't want to be. Right, next we have the verb gehen. You know that verb means to go, but we're learning this idiom. Wohin geht's denn? Where are you going? And then Glück, that means luck. So if I say ich habe Glück, I am lucky. Technically, it means I have luck, but the idiom to be lucky means Glück haben. Then a secondary school, like a college prep high school, is a Gymnasium. It looks like gymnasium, pronounced Gymnasium. If there's more than one, they are Gymnasien. The spelling changes, just make a note of it. Haltestelle. So that Haltestelle doesn't mean that I run out to you and go say, stop. That's a verb. But this Haltestelle is like the bus stop or the train stop. Haltestelle. Then Handtasche, which literally translates as handbag. I don't know if any of you have a grandma or an aunt who calls her purse her handbag, but that is a Handtasche. Kennenlernen means to get to know someone. Landen, Paket. Pilot or Pilotin. Pünktlich. Remember that you umlaut, your lips should be really far forward. Pünktlich. Reise, and then the idiom gute Reise. I'm literally just saying good trip, but I'm wishing you a good trip. And that's something that's missing from 5th and 6th edition. So I have it here on the screen. And so if you're in an older edition, please just copy this down, that Reise or gute Reise. Reisepass, Reisetasche, Rollen, Rucksack, S-Bahn, schwer, Tasche, taxi. And because taxi is a borrowed in word, it very conveniently makes its plural with S. 1 taxi, 2 taxis. That's very nice. Then tragen. Now look in the parentheses after tragen. You will see there are 3 words there. The first one is trägt. That tells you, oh yes, tragen is a stem changing verb. The A changes to a umlaut. The next one is trug. That's your simple past that we're going to be learning. And then getragen. So I have carried would be ich habe getragen. Now, I don't expect you to memorize those simple past forms just yet, but I want you to notice that as you're learning vocabulary, your book very, very conveniently starts feeding you extra grammar in the actual vocabulary list. Übernachten means to stay overnight somewhere. Die USA, or you see in parentheses, we can call it Die Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika, the United States of America, or just USA, that's just like the USA, or the US, the USA. Then der Weg and der Zeitungsstand. So that is the chapter 1 vocabulary, just to get you started on memorizing. Remember, we do have a class Quizlet. There's a link on our class page. Quizlet is optional, but it's there as an available tool. So thank you.